special about the snakes and ladders then?
Well, we felt we had to have some special gimmick, so we made it so that the snakes move.
So you can replace them on the board?
Yes, impede your opponent as he's coming along. We anticipate where he's going to be and then move your snake accordingly.
Maxwell House have had a terrific impact with their new granule coffee, and so Nestlé's will have to do something about it, and we ought to be able to cash in on it.
That was the voice of power, the voice that talks in millions, the voice of the modern bulk-buying supermarket. This film is about big organizations which are changing the face of the retail trade. There are many of them, and they have a habit of arriving in force whenever a new shopping centre is opened. This precinct is at Stockport, but it makes no matter. Wherever it was, this kind of shop would dominate. The chain store, the multiple. In 1914, their share of the country's trade was 7%. In 1950, it was 20%. Today, it's 35% and increasing every year.
You just hold the front.
Multiples come in all sizes. The better-known chain stores seldom have fewer than 100 shops. Look around. Mothercare, about 100 shops, about £9 million a year turnover. Samuel's, 150 branches, turnover £12 million plus a year. Halfords, rolling on with the times from bikes to motoring gadgets, has 307 shops and takes £14 million. Dorothy Perkins takes about the same. So do Timpson's, the shoe people. Dolcis come in a larger size. They are part of Charles Claw's British Shoe Corporation, which has about 2,000 shops under various names, owns Lewis's department store and Selfridges, and from that little lot earns about £80 million a year.
Or probably a fortnight.
Marley Tiles are involved in many kinds of manufacture. Their chairman, Owen Asia, is a world-class yachtsman who manages to keep his head above water with a salary of rather more than £90,000 a year. But let's move on to the real money. The outfitters have a fair measure of it. Alexander, part of the United Drapery chain, which rakes in £117 million a year. Jackson's, part of the Burton Group, which was prevented by the Monopolies Commission from merging with United Drapery, but still sells more men's outer clothes than anyone else in Europe. Willoughby's also could manage to kit you out. They are part of the great Universal Stores Group, which controls a string of ladies' shops, the Times chain of house furnishers, and runs the biggest mail-order business in Europe. Boots have marched a long way since Jessie Boot first purged the populace with pre-packed Epsom salts. They've taken over Timothy White's and advanced into the gift and household goods business, rattling up more than £210 million a year. Among the walk-around shops, British home stores have been coming up in the world with a number of bold strokes, such as pioneering one-size stockings and paper pants. Their 95 stores take £56 million. C&A operate in Holland, Germany and the United States, as well as Britain. Little is ever published about them. They're controlled by a family who are Dutch, rich and quiet. And so too are American cousins F.W. Woolworth, the biggest retailer in Britain of toys, stationery, detergents and glassware. Their sales from 1,134 stores amount to about £300 million, but their profitability has lagged behind other chains such as Marks & Spencer. M&S lead the field in many lines and are the clear front runners in ladies' pants.
Get going.
Their turnover amounts to more than £300 million a year. To see how the multiples make their money, it's worth looking behind the scenes at two big chain organizations which in quite different styles set the pattern in what, in the current craze for the dramatic, has come to be called the retail revolution.
Instead of 10, 9, 8 or 7, I don't want 6 or 5, not even £4. Give me 30 shillings.
30 bob. Free up, Bob, your orange in like goes. Free up, Bob. Nice and firm, chinning off you. Bob.
Will somebody say yes? Will you? I'll charge you £1. Who will for £1? Anybody say yes?
Sure, size, it'll fit you.
In 1919, a young man without a job staked his small gratuity from the Air Force in a speculation on canned food. He bought it cheap and he sold it cheap. That, in principle, is what Jack Cohen has been doing ever since. He took £4 on his first day in the market. £1 of it was profit. He no longer manages to achieve so large a profit percentage, but his turnover has gone up. His Tesco stores and supermarkets take nearly £200 million a year, employ 24,000 people and serve up to 4 million customers every week. It's more than 40 years since Cohen moved from the marketplace into the high street. He himself puts it a different way. He took the market with him into the high street. The tycoon was a showman.
Let that salesmanship, showmanship, call it what you like. And you've got to keep this going all the time. Every week there must be something special, something new, something people want to come in and see, now what's special this week? And that's the excitement of business. And when I mentioned about dropping the plate in the street, well, I've seen this happen so many times. Something goes wrong in a high street and somebody drops a couple of plates and everybody stops. There's a man digging a road, you'll see about 50 people watching the other fellow digging the road. And this is business. If he wasn't digging the road, nobody would go past, everybody going by wouldn't even notice it, would they? And this is excitement, thrilling. And when you sell something well, and you've done a good job, you feel happy about it yourself. It's not always the money, it's the acceptance of the public acceptance of you.
Tesco still runs on the street trader's basic principle. Buy cheap, sell cheap. Nationwide promotions at cut prices. Green stamps with everything. It has made Jack Cohen a millionaire. His cut price business is one of the most profitable and fastest growing companies in Britain.
Mind the, yeah. All right. All the profits going bang. No way it happens, you know.
He himself has been knighted. Now president of Tesco, he's been succeeded as chairman and managing director by his son-in-law, Hyman Kreitman. Their relative standing is nicely marked. Sir John Cohen, in 1969, was paid £15,200. Mr. Kreitman had to get by with £25 less. Another son-in-law, Leslie Porter, is deputy chairman. There are 5 other members of the board, not in the family.
And before the ship left, we have Samson.
All lunches of Tesco directors are working lunches, and there's always one item on the menu: what prices to cut and how to go about it. The basic way of saving costs was discovered by Cohen and others in the United States just after the war. The practice of self-service, which in 25 years has changed the face of much of the retail trade. But whatever economies they made in their methods, Tesco and other price cutters couldn't reduce some lines because the manufacturers wouldn't let them. The hullabaloo about resale price maintenance was eventually sorted out in the House of Commons. Cohen had offered his thoughts in suitable places.
I met Edward Heath in a television interview, although I'd met him before, and I said to him, this is ridiculous. For people to stop our supplies, you can't get this and you can't get that, and we've got to go round the back door to get goods, a company like ours. Well, he says, I think it'd be a damn good idea if I put a bill in myself. So I said, well, John Stonehouse has already tried, but he's got nowhere with it. He said, well, you leave it to me. And he did. And he put in this resale price maintenance bill, and after a lot of hard struggle, it was accepted, which I feel very happy about, that I was one of the originators, or the originator of this fact. Whatever else I've done, I've certainly done that.
What counted more than Cohen's excursion into politics was the growth of his organization, because the one thing a price-cutting company needs is sheer size. the power to place orders large enough to force bargains with even the biggest manufacturers.
The most important thing is getting a good price on the shelf.
Right.
Now, if we can buy right, we can sell right. It's as easy as that. And this price you're quoting me here is a bit too high. You've got to come back, give us a better price so that we can sell it at a good price.
Under your label or my own label, whichever you
Well,
please.
they'd have to be under our label. We wouldn't want them under your label. What is the price?
Well, for a special price, if you do it on a promotion, I could get down to 14 shillings a dozen, SIF.
You slices, you said they were.
Slices,
didn't you?
yes.
I can still do better than that. I've had it better often than that.
Well, I shall be very surprised with the market as it is, and the forward market still firmer. It must have got a very
Yes,
good price if you
yes.
can beat it.
Well, I can. There's always somebody, you know, that's prepared to do a deal if the volume is sufficiently big. You know that.
The volume is always big, the flow of products through the packing station endless. Packing some kinds of food is as far as Tesco go beyond the boundaries of retailing. Manufacturing they leave entirely to others. The things they sell as their own brands are often supplied by the same manufacturers whose products under their own labels sit next door on the shelves. The decision whether there's room for an own brand in any particular line isn't lightly made.
I'm
Well,
sure
if
our
the stores
customers
aren't
like
stocking them, then it's not worth our while
Not at
putting
all.
them under our
Well, I
label.
would
and
say
certainly
that-
the managers should stock all
They
our
can't.
own brands.
There's no room.
I agree with Ian. I think
Because
what
it's
we've got
such
to do is
good value.
rationalise the brand because there's far too many brands.
You
and
mean
even a lot-
rationalise the
The
brand?
range.
Brand-
Brand.
we've got- how
Range.
many Tesco brands we've got?
Tesco
20 or
brand.
15?
Good.
You don't mean brands, you mean varieties.
Varieties, same
One
thing.
brand.
One line, one brand.
Stock them. And if you've got them on the order list and nobody
Well,
buys
they
them,
can't-
then there's certain
Well,
stocks.
we
Well,
want-
this is not true, you know, because on unlabelled biscuits in particular, we are very conscious of the large range, and if it's at all possible, we will cut some out. But the volume is so large on every line that it's very difficult
Right.
to cut them
I
out.
agree
We
with
want-
that.
And it's
We
no
want-
good saying that the people are not picking them up because our figures will show you that they are.
And we sell terrific volume.
I'm sorry, this is perfectly true.
But every line we have sells in great
Well,
volume.
then, may I say,
Doing away with the brand leader, and the Tesco line is taking
Well,
the space of something that would sell a lot
Then that's a
better.
different argument. If
No.
you're
The
saying-
buying for the whole company is controlled by directors round this table. Indeed, the whole Tesco operation is tightly controlled from the headquarters at Cheshunt, just outside London. That's where they keep Cohen, Kreitman, and the computer. It needs a room full of electronic equipment to control the huge flow of goods up and down the country. The warehouses completely turn over their stock in 9 working days. And direct deliveries are made every day from manufacturers to hundreds of the company's shops. The whole operation has gone beyond the stage of human clerking. Too much happens too quickly. Organizations grow for one purpose. They tend to diversify into others. For years, Tesco had sold nothing but food, which seldom carries a very hefty profit. Director James Grundy.
Well, of course, we realised we already had a very large number of customers, mostly women, coming into our shops every week. So our first thought was to consider what items would they buy each week, what items are quickly and regularly expendable, so they would buy them and then come back again the week after. And of course, nylon stockings were an obvious choice. This led us on to ladies' underwear of different kinds, bras, knickers, etc. These also sold very well. But gradually we built up all these departments, appealing to the things that the wife wears, our customer, and her babies and the children, and then we naturally thought about a husband.
In going into textiles with its policy of buying cheap and selling cheap, Tesco ran into criticism about the quantity of foreign goods it offered. Leslie Porter.
We don't sell such a large quantity. The proportion of English goods to foreign is about 65% English to 35% foreign. But in actual fact, we don't consider the country when we're buying a commodity. We consider the construction and the type of material we want, and then we go all over the world. Hong Kong, of course, is a very competitive market, and possibly Portugal or Spain or Switzerland, and we examine the item, and if it's cheaper from a foreign country or from one of our colonial possessions, then we buy it there. And we just buy where we can get the best possible value.
When resale price maintenance ended, Tesco widened its diversification into electrical goods. Small ones at first, then bigger things as supermarkets themselves got bigger.
Right, and can you adjust that blade?
Yeah, you should be able to adjust it. It is adjustable. I think you take the top off.
Take that top off.
Take the top off and there'll probably be a switch to adjust it.
I suppose there's instructions with this thing.
Yeah, there's a guarantee and full instructions here.
And the price of this?
The price? £8.15.
Not much different than the others, is it?
No, it's a lot.
No, but the recommended price is £11.10.
10.
So you're saving quite well on this one.
Yeah. And I suppose you can't go take it for a trial.
But the greatest part of the business still remains in food. And it's mainly in food that the big countrywide sales promotion campaigns are mounted. Every fortnight, up to 20 lines are promoted. The campaign can increase sales by 10 times whilst it's running. Manufacturers who benefit from it are expected to carry their share of the cost. The strategy is decided at Cheshunt.
This will give you real volume business in your store.
I certainly do.
This is the important thing.
And also, I think Fine Fair would have a difficulty to copy us and come out cheaper. They've done this.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to change the pattern away from this coupon. You know, everybody's been doing this coupon.
We're saying here, let's be 3 in 11 without a coupon. You may even be 3 in 11 with a coupon.
Maxwell House have had a terrific impact with their new granule coffee, and so Nestle's will have to do something about it, and we ought to be able to cash in on it at that time. After all, our customers will get the benefit.
No, let us say if you want to be 3 in 11, we've got to try and do the best deal we can with Nestle, and we've got to work the overall picture out of the whole thing. It's no good saying yes or no on one line. We've got to get a pattern of the 12 lines to see what the overall is going to be. The next one is shredded wheat, where we had in mind going out at 1 in 11.
Promotion campaigns are worked out well in advance. Indeed, one of the strengths of the supermarkets is that they can place bulk orders with a manufacturer in his slack season.
The north of England prefer the 4 and 11 box, or round about that price mark, and whereas in the south of England the 6 and 11 price mark goes better than the cheap cracker. So we've got the two varieties here. We've got various samples of both varieties, and it's for you to make your choice. Actually, they come from two suppliers, and the design can be made up as you choose.
In their sales promotions, supermarkets have been accused of selling some lines at a loss to attract the customer. Loss leaders, for those who like fighting words. Director Daisy Hyams.
Well, we don't call them loss leaders, not at all, but nevertheless we do think they are traffic builders in the store.
So they don't call them loss leaders. But do they ever sell things at a loss, or don't they?
Well, we do up to a point, but it's only a sort of a trading, a certain way of trading. We may lose something on a couple of weeks trading, but we establish the line and we get the benefit of the future results.
The backbone of a supermarket's reputation is the quality of its meat. For other mistakes, they reckon, customers might forgive them. For bad meat, never. The tradesmen who handle the meat and other lines are the backbone of a supermarket's staff, which comes and goes like the inmates of a transit camp. A few years ago, staff changed at the rate of 200% a year. The average stay, that is, was 6 months. Now people are staying on average nearer to 9 months. There are several reasons why they come and go so rapidly. Northern Retail Director Ron Bronstein.
No young girl likes to work all day Saturday if there are other jobs going Monday to Friday. And the result is you tend to get rather an inferior labour. And because of this, we have to devise methods and systems whereby we can take on raw recruits and make them pay from the word go. And this we can do quite easily by giving them, for example, a section on a shelf, giving them a card that has all the items on, and really say, you know, now you've got to keep this full. It's a pretty humdrum job at times, filling baked beans every day, for example. This doesn't appeal to everybody. So that you will find that the more intelligent will look around and leave the company and get other jobs. Mind you, this sort of girl may well go from job to job, and this, unfortunately, is the sort of labour we have to take on.
Cashiers, too, work to a system. Eyes down on the purchases, hands on the money, fingers on the till. Thousands of people pass in a day. There could hardly be less human contact if it were a production line that was going by. It's not uncommon for girls interviewed and given jobs simply not to turn up. It's a question of boredom, not of pay, bad as that used to be in the food trade. Tesco say they pay above the union rate all round. For some of the more tedious jobs, they sometimes have to double the rate to get anybody to do them. A shelf filler, at the age of 17, might get as much as £20 a week, for as long as he could manage to stick it out. Running shops like this is no picnic.
Business is not a plaything. You have to work if you want to get on. And if you have a manager that doesn't know his job, well, he won't make any money for you. And you've got to have a sort of a smell. You know what I mean? Give him everything, but you've got to see he knows how to control. Because if you have a manager that doesn't know how to look after his staff, and he's just ready to close the store at 5:30 and go home and forget about it, he's not the type of manager that we want.
Harry Travis, the manager at Oldham, is the first into the store at 7:30 every morning. Mr. Travis reckons to work around 55 hours a week. Some managers say they do 80. Travis is used to the isolation of being the boss. Now 31, he was manager of a grocery shop with another company when he was 17. A supermarket manager's job is not one for a sensitive soul. Below him, a constantly shifting staff. Above him, a constantly exacting hierarchy. The pay can be well over £50 a week, but not many people stay around to collect it for long. The average age of managers is 29, and they're always looking for likely lads.
I think we'd better have this display for the... Yeah.
Mr. Travis has a staff of 130 when they all turn up. Basically, he's a supervisor and a troubleshooter. The company does its own thinking. What it wants from him is not originality, but industry. His job is to keep things moving, if necessary, by humping loads himself. The company expects him to spend most of his time on the shop floor, not in the office. The windows of Tesco managers' offices have been deliberately designed so they don't overlook the whole shop. The wilier managers respond by never answering the telephone the first time, just in case somebody at head office gets the impression that they spend their time sitting by it.
All right, don't be so silly. It won't stop now. What are you crying for, you bit?
Everybody at Tesco works under pressure.
These are all new, aren't they? Yeah. You've gone through all that lot there too, have you? They're all in code? Yes. What's that one there? Yes, take all those off. Make sure they're all in code. Make sure they're all definitely gone through.
There's always someone around to see if you're doing it right. For the manager, it's the inspector.
How's this nest going to go at 7?
Going very well.
Have you had a lot of cookies back from the paper?
Yes.
1 6p cookies.
Danny MacLeod is 23. A manager himself at the age of 21, he's now a probationary inspector responsible for 7 supermarkets. Tesco give him a Ford Corsair and $2,500 a year for his pains.
No, he's putting some more in. He's almost cutting some more, yes.
Has he got his full staff in today?
Yes, full stop.
We're all under pressure in this company, not only managers, and if we relax this pressure, we'll go broke. And any company that hasn't got pressure will find that they're in trouble. The managing directors in our company are under pressure, the directors, inspectors, managers, the pressure's passed right down the line. And they know there is pressure there, but it's not a bold threat to their livelihood with the company. It can be said in a number of ways, and yet they know that there is pressure being put on them. For example, if you say to a manager, unless you cure your stock leakages, you're for it, you may say that jokingly, but in fact he knows what you're getting at. He knows there's a veiled threat, and this pressure is good. And anybody who doesn't like working under pressure is not being true to himself, because all of us really need some sort of pressure. It may come in various forms, but certainly we have it in Tesco. We pay well and we expect results. And if people don't give us results, they know that they must take an inferior job, or in fact they'll have to leave the company.
Down at Brixton, they have a man who is undismayed by veiled threats, content under pressure and positively exhilarated by his daily struggle against leakages. The manager, Mr. Taylor.
A supermarket manager's job is a tough job. I mean, I work 70 to 80 hours a week. Not because I have to, because I enjoy my work. There's so much excitement during the course of the day with shoplifters, things going on in the store, fights, preparing merchandise and doing displays. We get professional people in here shoplifting. Some organise themselves like pregnant women, which they conceal under the cages that they wear merchandise. They come in teams, husband and wife, women with children, concealing their prams. An organised gang of shoplifters come in. One day there'll be blondes, the next day there'll be brunettes. And when they get outside, they make various signs to us, put their fingers up at us, and sort of take the mickey. And every day it's increasing. The losses could be very great unless we're on the ball, because I'm responsible for every bit of merchandise in the store. It is all charged into me. I'm responsible that it goes to the till. All the shortages are down to me. If I have great losses, my company think I'm not doing my job properly. The losses in the store like this are not only in the front of the store, there's the main delivery entrance at the back. During the course of the day, we might have 50 or 60 big wagons waiting there to be unloaded. I've got a young man in charge of all checking deliveries. He's a young man of 18, really on the ball, wide awake. I pay him good money. He gets £25 a week, plus his overtime. But he handles between 50 and even £60,000 worth of merchandise a week. That's checking. And everybody that comes to that back door, he's got to thoroughly check them, because somebody will try and defraud him. Even if it's a pound of sausages, a pie, or even a case of beans, or even a case of whiskey, or even a case of shirts.
In a company the size of Tesco, leakages can amount to more than £2 million a year. Everybody is under scrutiny, staff and customers alike. But a certain loss is simply built into a system which turns over goods and staff as rapidly as Tesco's. Still, they managed to survive. In 1969, their trading profit was £12.5 million. Their architects were preparing for a large-scale move into Scotland, and they were opening new supermarkets at the rate of almost one a week.
Hey? That's it, right? Right.
Ready, go. 3.
Right. Cut.
John's blue, madam. Got a blue, madam.
Yes, thank you.
There are, of course, corners of the retail trade preserved from the thrust and clamour of modern methods. This is one. Sherratt and Hughes, long-established booksellers in Manchester and part of a modest chain of 10 university bookshops, Bowes and Bowes. But Bowes and Bowes are part of another, rather larger multiple, WH Smith and Son. Smiths developed along with the railways. Last century, they established themselves in the bustling business of distributing the national daily newspapers and opened railway stalls all over England and Wales.
Good night, sir. Oh, we don't notice.
4 shillings, thank you.
Standard new, sir. Right.
That's right.
Like many multiples, Smiths have developed separate companies out of activities which started as sidelines. Their group includes a shop-fitting firm, a book club, an advertising agency, and a firm of management consultants.
6 parachutes on a card.
Smith's warehouses, 120 up and down the country, serve as wholesalers to their retail competitors, handling newspapers, of course, and many other lines as well. Their lorries and vans are owned by yet another subsidiary, which takes on general transport jobs as well as Smiths. Quite a complex organisation. Last century, they sacked a Mr. Smith who was keener to read books than to sell them, which might well be seen as a foretaste of the ruthless dynamism of a modern multiple. But this, in fact, is only one side of the character of Smiths. The other, gentler side, springs from the fact that they don't sell pickles and underpants, but books. By tradition, an occupation for a gentleman. Many of the top executives started in the bookshops. Quiet, careful men, not hard sellers.
And we've got historical romances. There are only 4. Yeah, there's only 4. 3 very good ones and 1 not.
Many of their staff spend the whole of their working lives with Smiths. Even some of the part-timers have been there for more than 20 years. Ambition for promotion is not obligatory. A manager can earn between £2,400 and £4,000, according to the size of the shop. But a head assistant who wishes to remain in charge of a specialist department is allowed to do so at a special, though modest rate of £1,600 a year. Smiths even attract a better class of shoplifter, including service officers, old ladies, clergymen, and foreign visitors. The 2 strands in the Smith character, the gentlemanly and the dynamic, are embodied in the merchandising director, Simon Hornby.
I like those new designs you've produced. They're very good.
Very colourful, too.
Educated at Eton and Oxford, commissioned in the Guards, but finally instructed in the ways of the commercial world at the Harvard Business School.
Right, I don't think we'll spend any more time on cycle 1 for the moment. I think I'd like to go on and start looking at the cycles ahead. We really want to look today at cycle 5 and cycle 6. And if you remember, the feature promotions here are the writing instruments and the books, Homes and Gardens.
much a demonstration line, isn't
Yes.
it? It's a bit big for the...
Some of our larger
Retail.
shops ought to be able to use it, though.
10 years ago, Smiths decided their shops could no longer survive on books and stationery. Like the newer multiples, they went in for diversification.
I think 3 would be an ideal
That
quantity.
one you've got's very cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
Toys were an obvious new line for a company already selling a large number of children's books. But the most outstanding success in diversification was in gramophone records, where Smiths rapidly became the country's top sellers. This success owed little to modern retailing techniques.
John, what do you think about these then? They've been quite a good series, haven't they, so far?
It was a piece of personal enterprise by Joanna Smith, who, being the chairman's daughter, was able to find out whether a simple, bright idea would work. But the Smith organisation as a whole has gone the way of modern multiples. At its heart is a central buying group which lays down the line for retail policy throughout the company.
Let's have a look at the spray pack, first of all.
This is a spray pack.
This is what we've been having certain production difficulties with. Is it going to be ready?
Quite a few.
Now what happens is I take the top off, and like magic it should spray out. And
It should with a shake.
With a shake. Yes, that is very effective. Does that always work?
It does, yes.
The central buying group decides the strategy. The detail is worked out or new proposals started in the specialist departments.
A good colour, they're specialised.
Miss Malloy, have you seen those? They're very, very good. You are? Looking at this
I'm
one.
just showing them here.
Yes. These are quite specialised.
They're much better than I thought they would be.
How like these?
We have put a few cards up here to give you some idea of what
Yes, these here.
some of the new age cards, which will be about a shilling those.
Coming of age. What's the development there?
Well, not very much at coming of age, but there are a few keys and that, but not very many actual cards.
We don't want to forget the 21st
But
birthdays,
we're
do we?
still concentrating on 21st, which we
many are
have
going
on,
to- yes.
rather on.
Like the supermarkets, Smiths run nationwide sales promotions, centrally originated.
Mounting this promotion in the form of a competition for children. The first prize is going to be a pony, so it's become known as a winner pony competition for books. So Charles, if you would like to just outline very roughly the idea of the promotion.
Yes, certainly. Well, basically, as Mr. Carnegie Brown said, we will be running a winner pony competition. We haven't finally decided on how many ponies we'll give away yet, and this is the article that we're hoping to use at the moment, the Thirlwell pony. If we can get cooperation from Thirlwell, we'll get him to do our drawings, you see, and pin the whole thing round Thirlwell. This is the idea.
Do you think children would go for this as a prize? Run a consolation prize, they don't win the actual real pony?
Oh yes, I think they would.
Or do you think they'd rather have an original sort of engraving by Thirlwell? We're meeting Thirlwell next week, aren't we?
Yes, next week. He's coming in.
Yeah.
No, I think the children would much prefer these Thirlwell models, personally.
Rather than the drawing.
Rather than the drawing. I think this is something which would appeal to adults rather than children.
Do you agree with that, Christine?
Absolutely.
Smith's promotions include cut-price campaigns, less strident than those in the food trade, but the same thing in principle. Like Tesco, Smiths have gone into the own brand business. They now have 180 lines bought cheaper, packaged under their label and sold as bargain buys. There's even a WH Smith version of Snakes and Ladders.
What's special about the Snakes and Ladders then?
Well, we felt we had to have some special gimmick, so we made it so that the snakes move.
So you can replace them on the board?
Yes, impede your opponent as he's coming along, anticipate where he's going to be, and then move your snake accordingly.
Won't they drop off in play? Or?
Well, actually, on the final production sample, there'll be a laminated surface, and they'll adhere strongly.
Yeah, they'll adhere to it.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole thing is controlled by a computer at Swindon. Like Tesco, Smiths moved the centre of their distribution out of London because of the traffic. The centre at Swindon is almost the same in concept as Tesco's at Cheshunt, particularly in the insistence that its job is distribution, not storage.
And the title of the book, please.
Smith's particular problem was to apply the techniques of bulk handling to such a small individual order as a single book. Every week, Swindon deals with orders for hundreds of thousands of books. orders go in at one end of the computer process, at the other, a picking list is printed out. People employed as pickers usually get to know titles, but they don't need to. Unlike the old warehousemen, they don't need to know anything about the stock at all. The picking list directs them to the right spot in the shelves. The skips they fill up are numbered for the branches where the order is going. Swindon takes 2 days to handle the complete order for any one shop. In its books section, it holds 40,000 titles on the shelves, and that's good enough to fulfill 90% of the orders. The remaining 10% have to be ordered from the publishers, which can be a matter of weeks or months rather than days. However quick, slick and automated the retail trade has become, publishers remain publishers. Having diversified from books into other fields 10 years ago, Smiths have been moving in the opposite direction in recent years. The first rush of diversification carried them into too wide a field. Glassware, pottery, electrical and photographic goods they've cut out altogether. In other lines, they're constantly cutting down the variety available.
One important discipline we have for the buyers is to produce every 6 months what we call a ranking report. Now this ranks in the sales and profits which they have provided during the previous 6 months, all the goods that each buyer has bought. And anything that isn't contributing a reasonable profit is cut out. We can't afford to run these lines. Now the effect that this is gradually going to have is that lines, any goods which are in small demand, are gradually going to be eliminated. Manufacturers won't be able to afford to go on making them. And so we are gradually reducing customer choice in this way as well. Now it might be interesting to turn to books, because you may think that a buyer can't make a choice for customers, but at Christmas time, when people are on the hunt for books for gifts, we find that there are only about 30 leading books which we need stock. We may stock others in smaller quantities, but we need stock these, and this will be sufficient for people looking for books for gifts for Christmas. Publishers are producing special books at this time of the year, and just big piles of them on one new book table is going to be enough. Now this is extraordinary, just 30 out of perhaps 30,000 that are published in a year, but for the Christmas trade, several thousand. It's just these very few which will satisfy the demand. And that's again our buyer making the choice and helping the public, who get very muddled when they get into a bookshop. They don't know what to choose. And if they see these piles, well then it helps them. Ah yes, that's the sort of book which will do for somebody. We've done it for them. And this is really the trick of a buyer. Not the trick, it's the skill of a buyer, I should say, rather. And a good buyer makes the choice for the public, and that's why the public come back to your shop.
The essence of modern retailing is display. Show the customers all you have for sale, exactly as the market traders do. What the trade calls egghead paperbacks automatically qualify for a place on the shelves. Paperback fiction has to pass a closer scrutiny.
It's a stinking jacket,
It is terrible. That's what I was going to leave out anyway. But I bet it depicts horror, but it depicts it in a cheap way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bad jacket. Poor, cheap jacket. No, have that one now. Well, this is from Let's Talk of Graves. Short stories, is it?
Yes, but normally horror's very often are, you know.
Good cover. Yes, in.
Right.
Is that bad?
Now we have to move to the war. There's a very good covers here with the war, but then usually there are.
They're digging up some pretty dead old titles.
Well, they're going back a long way now, yes.
Yeah,
I think it's got to be a very good story now to justify.
Really scraping the barrel of some of these.
Yeah.
In the end, of the fiction paperbacks considered each month, 5 or 6 are scaled to be carried at all branches, about 200 accepted for managers to display if they wish, and 50 or so rejected, a very nasty reverse for any author. Similarly, Smith's choice of a new hardback for special promotion is among the best ways of making a top seller. Smith's power in the destiny of a book comes from the sheer size of their operation, and it's something of an embarrassment. Barracked on one side by the upholders of indecency, and menaced on the other by the law and various kinds of profits, They are slowly and uneasily working out a policy on what is fit to display and how. All this sex has made even the greetings card business complicated.
I feel we have to be extremely careful here. We don't set ourselves up as censors, but we do feel we have the absolute right to be careful, extremely careful in our selection, so as not to insult our customers. So therefore we look carefully at these Slim Jim, vulgar, crude cards. We sell Slim Jim, but there are some that we wouldn't sell.
A problem with cards, as with other things, is to know precisely who the customers are and where the market is moving. A manager perceived, for instance, that the high-class clientele at the Kensington shop are an extraordinarily jokey set of people, always ready for a hoot. One table is now permanently set aside for comic books. Children's books have been moved out of the book section and placed next to toys, on the tested theory that people are looking for any present rather than a particular one. This section earns its shelf space all the year round.
I can manage that very nicely.
Buying for children is no longer confined to Christmas and birthdays. Once a week is nearer the mark.
It's a bit difficult. Perhaps you could get the big end in first. All right, you manage. Black Father Christmas, isn't it? Stopped again.
But on this particular day, nobody in Smith's was worrying too much about toys. They had a much bigger thing in the bag, a song in their hearts, and a surefire bestseller moving into the shops. On March the 16th, the new Old Testament was offered to the world. The Bible at any time is a top seller. For the trade, the good book is by far the best book, and a new translation is the soundest piece of merchandise in retailing. March the 16th was, by any standards, a highlight in the history of sales promotion. That was the day they promoted the Word of God.